Christian greetings to you all, my dear brothers and sisters in the South England Conference. I pray that you are all in God's keeping and staying intimately close with Him during these trying times. Ever since our conference president, Pastor Emmanuel Osei, announced the decision to furlough a number of our employees, including some of our pastors, we received queries and concerns from some of our well-meaning members regarding the financial state of our church. I truly appreciate the feedback that we are getting, as it shows just how much you care about God's work and the ministry of our church. Indeed, this pandemic has brought us into uncharted territories that no administrator has been before. I thank those who have called and emailed me personally, offering words of encouragement and support as we make difficult decisions to navigate through this unfamiliar ground. Our situation, though, is not unique to other businesses and charities. On the 20th of March, the Civil Society's Media, UK's independent media company dedicated to supporting the charity sector, published an article stating that the charities across the UK are facing imminent collapse due to the impact of coronavirus, as warned by the leaders. Sector bodies estimate the charities will miss out on at least £4.3 billion of income over the coming 12 weeks, though the figure could be far higher. This is around 30% to 40% drop in income. It went on to say that from next week, which was the end of March, some will be unable to continue operating and others will begin making redundancies. The government has been in contact with sector leaders about a package of support, and on that same day, 20th of March, the UK Chancellor announced that for the first time in history, the government is going to step in and pay people's wages up to 80%, or up to a maximum of $2,500 per worker per month. This Coronavirus Job Retention Scheme, or CJRS, is an unprecedented economic intervention by the UK government in these unprecedented times. Any employer in the country, small or large, charitable or non-profit, will be eligible for the scheme. As this is a government grant and not a loan, companies will not be paying the government back. We received a query as to why we apply for CJRS after only 2 weeks. The decision as to whether we avail ourselves to CJRS or not has been made prayerfully and thoughtfully. As the President has mentioned in one of his videos, a series of meetings and consultations were done with several groups regarding the furloughing of staff. Timing is of the essence to maximize the financial benefit of the scheme. But at the same time, great care and thought were put into the process to ensure that the mission and ministry of our church are not in any way hindered. Plans were put in place so that the needs of the members are still being catered for, even though some of our staff are furloughed. Ellen White admonishes in her book, Christian Leadership, page 50, "The cause of God demands men and women who can see quickly and act instantaneously at the right time and with power. If you wait to measure every difficulty and balance every perplexity you meet, you will do but little. You will have obstacles and difficulties to encounter at every turn, and you must with firm purpose decide to conquer them, or they will conquer you." Also in Gospel Workers, page 134, she writes, "I have been shown that the most signal victories and the most fearful defeats have been on the turn of minutes. God requires promptness of action. Delays, doubting, hesitation, and indecision frequently give the enemy every advantage. Had we delayed the decision whilst waiting to see the impact of the lockdown, we would have missed the benefit of the scheme. The initial decision was based on the charity sector estimate of 30 to 40% drop in income. An initial cash flow analysis was done based on these percentages. However, by the middle of April, it turned out that the actual cash flow is down by 57% compared to the previous month. A 6-month cash flow forecast was then revised to reflect a 60% reduction of cash. By the end of April, we will again assess the impact and adjust strategies as necessary. Under normal conditions, the conference pays £500,000 a month to the higher organizations in tithe sharing, and almost 80% of the net tithe goes to salaries and wages of the employees, which are around $700,000 a month. In the current abnormal conditions, we are shifting our focus on our cash, looking for every opportunity to retain and maximize incoming cash and to reduce or defer outgoings. Understanding the short-term liquidity needs is key to sail through this pandemic. In availing ourselves to the CJRS, furloughing around 51% of our employees, we effectively reduced the salaries cost by 28%. Furloughed workers still get 100% of their salaries, as SEC chose to top up the unfunded pay. With regards to outgoing cash, the tithe sharing is understandably reduced, travel ceased, employee allowances are suspended, events and conventions cancelled, and payments to suppliers are deferred. In so doing, we secured to pay the salaries to up to 6 months. In the end, we expect that the drastic measure taken now to furlough employees will have longer economic benefits to our employees, as well as long-term spiritual advantages to our churches that would receive the services of the conference through the pastors, departmental directors, and other workers. A few members are asking, why not use cash reserve during this time? The limited cash reserve that we have is already incorporated in the cash flow forecast. Much of the funds of SEC are tied up in fixed assets and investments. We have an ongoing major development project in North Rankton, which we expect to finish this year. Monitoring and managing cash flow closely are crucial to keep the organization running. I must emphasize that I do not doubt our members' faithfulness in returning tithe and offerings. However, we also realize that you, our members, are not immune to the financial effects of COVID-19. Beyond the human tragedy, there is a direct economic impact from lives lost in an outbreak. Many working-age adults still fall ill, and their families will feel the financial burden as they miss work for days or weeks. Some may have been affected by job redundancies and reduced working hours. Still others, especially our faithful elderly members, keep their tithe and return them when the churches reopen. This has a direct impact on cash flow. At this time of uncertainty, I can only take comfort in God's word, that indeed He is in control and will continue to lead His church. Just as the psalmist declares in Psalm 28:7, "The Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in Him, and He helps me." I would like to appeal to all of you to please remember the SEC leadership in your prayers, that He will give us wisdom and strength, and that whatever decisions we make, through His guidance, His sovereign purpose for His church will be accomplished. God bless you all.